Hi everyone and welcome to today's webinar, Embedding Self-Service BI in Blazor and .NET Core Apps. Today we're going to look at a couple cool examples of how you can get going with self-service embedded BI in your applications in just a few steps. I think the Blazor is 6 or 8 steps. I think it used to be 8. I think I got it down to 6, but you'll see today. So of course, my name is Jason Beres. I am Senior VP of Developer Tools here at Infragistics. And I want to thank you for joining today. I know you have a lot of options and choices to do with all of your time, but we'll make it worth it today in this webinar. So the agenda today is we're going to look at Reveal. We're going to look at Blazor WASM versus Blazor Server, just basically how all of this ties together, what you have with Reveal, what you have with Blazor. Of course, we're going to do a demo, and I'm going to kick it off with like a really cool demo that is pre-built and all that. And if you want that demo, shoot me an email and I'll give you a link to it. But housekeeping, slides, and this recording will be available after the presentation. Please ask questions in the questions window and we will reply. So how does Reveal work? It's really important to understand that even though today's webinar is about Blazor and .NET, Reveal has various configurations. It's also important to note that Reveal is an SDK. So you have a JavaScript library on the client and you have a package on the server that installs in your application. So the client is simply a JavaScript file. You can put it in your Vue.js app, your React app, your Angular app, your Blazor app. It really doesn't matter. You'll actually see how that works today and it'll make a whole lot of sense. So we're not limiting you on what type of client application you might want to use. And then on the server, we support a .NET Core server, we support a Java server, and we support Node.js. So depending on what your server configuration is, you can build out any type of application. And this diagram gives you a little bit of help on how that works. So what this means is we don't touch your data, we have nothing to do with your data. We don't, store your data and then make you do queries against the data that you've moved over, like maybe Power BI would or some others. Everything is a direct connect to your data. We'll cache a little bit of that data on the aggregates to make sure that you have good performance if you're doing queries. But at the end of the day, you're really in control over not only the experience of the application, but of all of your data. And then when we talk about Blazor, this is a little bit different than your typical application because Blazor has 2 flavors. It has the WebAssembly and it has a Blazor server app. So if I think about an Angular application and a Java backend, it's like very clear that there is Angular on the front end, Java on the back end, and I'm communicating over HTTP between these two. With Blazor, it's slightly different. So on Blazor WASM, it is sort of like that Angular Java story. I have a WebAssembly. Everything is running in the client, and then I'm connecting to a server to do stuff. So I am clearly going back and forth between my client application and the server. So in my diagram here, I've got my Blazor WASM client and the Reveal server. You always have both of those in that configuration. In a Blazor server client app, which is kind of a weird way of saying it, I can have everything hosted in the same application. So I have my Reveal server and my client in an app that gets deployed to the server, and then it's like a traditional .NET or ASP.NET app where I'm running queries and deploying or rendering HTML down to the client. I'm going to show you both today on how that works, but even in a Blazor server app, like let's say your team wants to build out a Blazor server application, but you have a back-end team that is using Node.js or they're using Java, or you have a separate .NET Core deployment in a container in Azure, no problem. All of that works fine, and that'll come through in the demo today. So with that, let's get to the demo, and everything I'm going to show you today is either in the documentation or in this link, github.com, Reveal BI, SDK samples Blazor, and you'll see how I am tying everything together. So the first thing I am going to do is show you this example, which we're going to cover at the end. But I want to highlight it first so you can stick around to the end to see what we're going to show. So here is a Blazor WASM application connected to a .NET Core server hosted in Azure in the cloud, and it's a a nice experience that I built using App Builder, which is our WYSIWYG app building tool. And this is just an app. So I have some different various information pieces in my application. I've got a list view here on the left, and I also have a visualization here on the right. This is actually the Reveal SDK in action. This is what we call single visualization mode. So it is a single visualization in a dashboard that I just want to put, by itself on a page. And it's Reveal because Reveal has some nice features, like I can flip between the data and the dashboard. I also have some nice capabilities like drill downs. So I can drill up and drill down in my application. And like so, you can see that this acts just like any other nice visualization that you might build yourself. If I go to the dashboards view, you'll notice it said loading dashboards. Now in this case, we're doing something very special. We have a thumbnail component, and this is retrieving a thumbnail of all the dashboards that I have up on my server. And I've got the dashboard title, who created the dashboard, and then a button to show the dashboard. So I can click that, and now I'm right into my dashboard. I'll go back here to dashboards, and I have all of my thumbnails again, and I can click it, and voila, there we go. Now, this is a dashboard view. What I did for this demo is I also have a slightly different view, which is just like a combo box view of all the dashboards. So here, if I select something from the combo box, it updates the display or the Reveal view here in my dashboard. So in this case, you'll note, it looks like I had a little error there. I'm not sure what that's from, but we'll take a look at that later. But in this case, what I want you to understand is that everything here in the lower area is the Reveal view. Everything else is my application code. So the Reveal view is simply a div in your app. So when I say, hey, load the market rents dashboard, it goes to the server, it grabs the market rents dashboard, and it renders it here on the client. Now, what do I get with that? In my overflow, I'm enabling editing still on this, so I still can do edit mode. So let's say, for example, my average month's tenant stays. I want to edit this particular visualization. I'll click edit. Now I am in edit mode. And you'll note here that we have some fields that we're using to create a custom field for gain and loss to actually build out this visualization. If I go over to settings, I've got a few settings here. So for example, I'll change the start color to gray. I can do a trend line on this guy. We'll do a simple average on the trend line, and I'll just leave everything else the way it is. I'll check the box, and if I check the box, now this actually updated on the server, and then it'll be there for the next person in this display. In Reveal as well, I can expand this to get a full screen view. I have some different options here like time series forecast, linear regression. So if I do a time series forecast, I'll do season length and period length, and I'll click forecast, and you can see here that it's forecast out my data based on what's already displayed, and you can see here that I have a new legend. So I'll go ahead and minimize this, take a look at one more dashboard. Let's look at retail inventory management, a little bit different. I have some different views here. There's no data to display here. In this case, it's probably because there's a data filter. I have data that's going from December 20 to December 22, but hey, it's a real dashboard, and that's how things look. So this is a really slick example, and I'll show you how we put this together at the end of today's webinar. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize that. And I am going to right-click and create a new Visual Studio project. And in this case, we'll create a new project. I'm going to start with the Blazor server app. So I'll click Next, and we'll just leave it at Blazor server or Blazor app 7. I'll click Next, and we'll use .NET 7, and I'll click Create. So here I have my Blazor server application. And the reason I want to do a Blazor server app is because this will show you how you would do a separate .NET Core application and a client. It kind of ties it both together, so you get the best of both worlds here. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to look at my dependencies and frameworks. And you'll notice I'm using .NET Core. Well, I need one more dependency here, and that is the Reveal SDK. So I'm going to go and install that through NuGet. So I'm going to click Manage NuGet Packages. I'm at NuGet.org. I'm going to go to Browse, and I'm going to type in Reveal BI. So I'll select Reveal BI. And you'll see that once you do that, you've got the Reveal SDK ASP.NET Core, and it's at version 1.5. Later this week or early next week, this will be 1.6. We release very often, and so 1.6 is coming soon. And then the other change we're making is that right now with this, you get all of the data sources. In the future, you're going to install data sources separately. So let's say you're just doing Azure SQL, you'll just install the .NET Core client plus the Reveal SDK Azure SQL Server data connector, and then it'll lighten up the package load on your application. But in this case, let's just click install, and we'll accept all of the defaults, and we have that installed. So now that's ready to go. Now, how do I light up my application to tell it to use this? Well, what I need to do is first off update my program.cs. So in this case, I'm going to say builder.services.add-controllers, and on the add controllers I want to add reveal. So I'll do an add reveal, and when I do this and hit enter, you'll note that Reveal SDK, the using statement, comes up. So I've done that, all is good. And then one last thing is, because of the way Reveal works for redirects, because internally it's looking to the dashboards folder for dashboards to load, which, by the way, because this is an SDK, we have a default dashboards folder to load and save dashboards to. You can override that with your own code. So you've got the ability to do a save as and a load from. You could save your dashboards to a database. It really doesn't matter. But we need to give it a little more information in terms of where to use endpoints from. So .use endpoints is just an MVC pattern that you can use to tell it where to go to look if it's doing a redirect to a page. So we require this, and now at this point you've added a couple things in program CS, and you are ready to go. If you happen to forget this, then when you try to navigate to a dashboard, it won't load. Now, does .NET 8 require this? I don't know. This is something we've needed since like .NET, MVC applications. Maybe they'll update it and change it, but for now you need this. So always check the docs to make sure that you know how to set up these servers. So speaking of the docs, what do I need to do next? So let's go and open up the browser, and I'm going to go to looks like my browser was updated. That's great. I'm going to go to my Reveal docs at help.revealbi.io. And under documentation, I'm going to go to web, and I'm going to go to installation. Now, installation has some different information on requirements for what you need to install. It shows you how to download the installer, how to set up the server, how to set up the client, all this good stuff. So what we're going to do is we are going to use this information in the docs to set up our application today. And the great thing about that is there's no secret, so you know where to find all of this stuff to get going. So when you install Reveal, or when you're using the Reveal JavaScript library, you need to obviously set up a few items in your index.html. In this case, we have some dependencies, quill.js, deliver.js, deliver, unpackaged.com, and then of course the Reveal client library. So I'm simply going to copy this quill.js dependency, Control-C. I'm going to go back to my Blazor app. And since we're doing a Blazor server application, we'll go to pages and we'll go to host_HTML. And this is like your index.html for a Blazor server app. So I'm going to add my quill.js dependency there. And then I need to add some JavaScript references. So I'll go back to my docs here. And I'm going to copy these 4 lines. Control-C. And we'll do a Control-V. Now, if I have installed the SDK from the Reveal BI website and downloaded all of the assets there, you would get the Reveal JavaScript library. However, we also have this up on the CDN, and in the documentation that you can use to follow step by step to build out this application, I'm also using our CDN to make this happen. So I'm going to highlight this, and I'm going to paste in our global CDN. And with our global CDN, you can see that you've got the same Reveal JS file. It's just pointing to the CDN. and you don't need to worry about installing anything. And there is a script file that we're going to use called revealview.js. This revealview.js we are going to create right now. So how do you know what you need to do to actually load a dashboard in Reveal? So if we go back to the docs, and I go back to the loading under using the Reveal view, you'll notice it's giving you some instructions here. So the first thing is it says you need a dashboards folder, and then you need a dashboard in there. A Reveal dashboard is simply an R- file that you create with Reveal, or you can create with Slingshot, our other application, which I have other videos on, or other webinars we've just recently done. And there's a few things you do in the client to set this up. So the first thing is you tell it where to look for the server that you're going to load these dashboards from. In this case, we're doing a Blazor server app. We don't need this. It'll automatically just use the application that it's running in the context of that HTTP to get its dashboard. So we're not going to use the SDK settings set base URL. However, we are going to use some other capabilities here to load the dashboards. And in this here, we've got some ASP.NET examples on how to load from a file path, how to load from a resource. What we're going to do is we're actually going to load from the JavaScript client. So there's a bunch of different documentation here that you can check out and use based on your configuration. But at its core, this is all we need to do. We use the rv dashboard.load dashboard, we pass it in a dashboard name, and then we load the actual dashboard itself. The only difference in our demo here today is that this is going to be in a JavaScript file. So let's go back to our application, and I'm going to go to www.root. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to add this folder called JS, and JS will live our revealview.js. So I'm going to add a new item, call this Reveal View, and this will be .js since it's a JavaScript file, and we're going to add one function, and I'm going to say paste. So this is exactly what we just saw in the docs, except I'm calling this the load Reveal View function, and I'm going to pass it in the view ID and the dashboard name. And if you're wondering how I know all this, like how did I know to add a JavaScript function? Well, that's in the step-by-step that I had the link in the PowerPoint slide, which we will paste into the chat so you can follow along as well. So now I've got the JavaScript. This is all I need on the JavaScript client to actually render a dashboard. So what do I have in hosts? I have all of my dependencies. I'm pointing to, or I'm telling Blazor to load this Reveal View as a module, so it has access to it just like any other JavaScript library. And I have my quill.js style sheet link. So what's next? Why don't we go to index.razor and start building out this application. So I'm going to delete all of that. Our page title, we'll call it Hello Blazor. Blazor Reveal, like so. And the first thing that we're going to add is our combo box. So the combo box is just going to be a selector with some items that we're going to allow the end user to pull down based on the dashboard name. So you'll see here I've got a select. I'm going to have campaigns, healthcare, manufacturer, marketing, and sales. And on change, we'll do select dashboard on change. Now, where are these dashboards coming from? We need to add them. So I'm going to go and right click on my server, and I'm going to add a new folder, and I'm going to call it dashboards. Dashboards is the default folder, as I mentioned. So by default, Reveal will look to this folder to load and save dashboards. Based on your configuration, you may be serving dashboards from a server, elsewhere, from another folder, from a database. It's really up to you. We don't care. There's an API to cover all of that. So I'm going to go to add. I have a bunch of dashboards already created. I'm going to go to my desktop. I have a folder called Basic Dashboards. I'm going to grab Campaigns, Healthcare, Manufacturing, Sales, and I'm going to add them. So now I have these dashboards here. I have these dashboards here. I don't really need to do anything else. Now let's add a code block. And in my code block, because this is Blazor, there's a couple things that I want to add. I want to add some code for the very first time the page loads and then for my on change event. So in this case, if I paste this in, let me get rid of this additional code block here. That looks good. I have a protected override on after render async. And what this is going to do is it's going to use the JavaScript runtime and call invoke void async and then execute the load reveal view function. Remember, load reveal view is in my reveal view JS file. Load reveal view, it's expecting two parameters, the view ID and the dashboard name. So if we go back to index.razor, the view ID and the dashboard name. Well, where is the view ID? We need to add that view ID. And if you remember earlier, where we place the dashboard in Reveal is simply going to be a div. And my ID is going to equal Reveal View. So there we go. We've got our Reveal View like so. And there's my div. So that's all I would need to do to load a dashboard into my page. However, I actually want to add a little bit of a style tag. Let me paste in the style tag that I have handy. And what we want to do here is say that I want to go of 100% of the vertical height minus 30 pixels with a width of 100%. And you'll see how that fills the dashboard out nicely on the page. And you can tweak this based on how your page is set up. So invoke void async gives me a little squiggly line. So what I want to do is I want to inject here the IJS runtime, and we'll call this the JS runtime like so, because that's what we called it here. So JS runtime, reveal view, and reveal view. And this is on first render, so we still need to add our selected dashboard change code, which we'll just simply put right below this. And I've got async void selected dashboard change. This is the exact same line of code. The only thing that we're doing is we're passing in the string here based on what is selected in the combo box. And that's it. I am done. My Blazor app is complete. I have embedded Reveal in my Blazor app, and I have a self-service BI application. So let's go ahead and hit run. And my application fires up. So now in this case, you can see here, I've got my campaigns dashboard. I'll select, I've got healthcare, select here, manufacturing. Everything just looks absolutely beautiful as I expected. And here's the nice thing. I didn't do any extra code, but if I go here to edit, and let's go ahead and edit this guy, this is the same experience that I had when I showed you my application earlier. I have the WYSIWYG drag and drop experience. So let's do budget by territory, and I'll change this to budget by territory like so. Maybe we want to add the campaign ID as the category. So now here I've got campaign ID as the category. This looks a little messy. So let's go here, and should we do a column chart? We can do column. Maybe we can do a stacked column. And I think that looks good. So we'll check the box, and there we go. It's right there. If I want to add a completely new visualization, I can click the plus visualization button. This dialog will show me what data sources are in this particular dashboard and let me choose them. So here, if I go to, well, I was in campaign. So let's go back to marketing. I'll select the data for marketing. And here, if I want to do something by date, and I'll do new seats by date. And yeah, why not? Let's do the territory as the category again. And there we've got new seats by date by year. New seats by year. And the nice thing, you'll notice there's some level of hierarchy here. So if I select this, you'll see there's a drill down, and now I can drill down. Maybe this isn't the right visualization. Should I do a line chart? I can do that. Of course, when you do categories like this, it does get a little bit messy. Let's say I want to do the average new seat. So I can change the aggregation to average, and I'll update this field. And now I have the average new seats by year. And I'll click that again. And let's go back to a different type of chart. Let's do a stack chart again. I guess when you do a lot of the categories, or there are a lot of categories, stacked is good, line kind of gets messy, spline gets messy. It's really up to you how you want to craft out your visualizations when you're building this out. But you can see here, I have this guy, and if I drag him over, It'll make it look a little bit better on my screen. And that's all I need to do here to load and save dashboards. Now, if I go over to, let's say, healthcare, if I go back to my overflow, I've got some export options. Maybe I'll export this to Excel. So I'll leave everything selected. I'll click export. And now when I click export, here is my dashboard. The nice thing about Reveal is that you get the data for things like, text box visualizations, etc. But if I go and I find something that has a visualization, we will actually export a real Excel visualization with your data, which is kind of unique. And then finally, let's go ahead and do an export to PDF. PDF and PowerPoint are really similar. This will take a second to load up. What it's doing is it's actually capturing a screenshot of every visualization in your dashboard. But the nice thing here is you can also mark these up. So let's say I want to highlight a certain region here in my pie chart. Let me go to text. I'll drag this over and I'll say, check this out. And we'll just kind of leave it the way it is, like so. And maybe I don't want to include these items in my export. So let's go ahead and export this to PDF now. And my PDF pops up. And you can see here is my beautiful PDF. And if I scroll down, there's my annotated export. And there we go. Super easy, super simple. With 6 steps, maybe 8 steps, I created a self-service BI application with Reveal in a Blazor app. It's that simple. So what's the difference between this and a Blazor WASM app? So let's take a look at the other application that I showed you earlier, my inventory reporting app. Remember, this is running over here. So in inventory reporting, I've got my nice UI that I created in App Builder. I've got a single visualization mode here. I've got dashboards. I've got reports. So what is this actually doing? If we go back to our Reveal Vue.js, you'll notice that Reveal SDK settings set base URL, it's looking to the cloud for everything. So let's go ahead and click this. And it says not found. That's okay because we want to look at the Swagger for this. So I've enabled Swagger for my Reveal front. And what this is doing is it's showing me the API that's available to me. So in this case, if I check out what's going on here, let's type in sales and click execute, it actually will return the R- for the sales dashboard. You can see it's just a JSON document. And I have a few other things. A few other things here you'll note. Dashboard, so I want to get a list of all of my dashboards. We can try this out. This will return every single dashboard. I can get the visualizations in a particular dashboard. So if I type in sales here and I click execute, this will show me all of the visualizations in the sales dashboard. So this is using the DOM, which is that webinar that we did last week or 2 weeks ago. It adds additional power to the server. But my point here is I am pointing to this server for all of the dashboards, etc. for this application. Now this app in our JavaScript library has a few extra things. So if you remember, what we did here was we just did the load dashboard. So this case, we're doing a little bit more because I'm adding new dashboards. I'm pointing to a data source so I can get that data and create dashboards. I've also added a custom image to my new dashboard screen, which I'll show you. I've enabled single visualization mode, and I'm using custom colors and styles on my dashboard. But everything else is basically the same. If I go over to my card view, one difference here is in the card view, I've got this dashboard thumbnail component. So the dashboard thumbnail component is going to look at the R- file for a particular dashboard, and it's going to generate an image based on what information is in that file. So here I've got create dashboard thumbnail in my Reveal Vue.js to actually generate that thumbnail. So this is actually really slick, and it will create a thumbnail for you, which is what we want to do, because when your users are looking at like your entry point for your application, you can do a combo box, you can do a list, you can do whatever you want, but having that card view with a thumbnail or having a list view with a thumbnail, or even a combo box with a thumbnail. It kind of like ties their brain together with the name of the dashboard and that thumbnail. And then the combo viewer is very similar to what I did. The only difference is I use the Infragistics IG combo component, which is a Blazor control, and I bound my data from coming back from the dashboards to that combo box. So I'm not adding dashboards individually. I'm iterating through whatever that dashboard folder is on the server, and I'm loading it up. But you'll notice this is the exact same code that we had earlier. I mean, there's no difference here. Pretty straightforward on how this thing works. So you saw that when we built out the Blazor application. And what I can do here is let's take a look at this Blazor page. So I'll open up a new instance of the browser. I'm going to paste and go to what I use today using Reveal SDK in a Blazor server app. This is the step-by-step that I was using, so most of it's in the docs. Like, this isn't in the docs because it was custom to our application today, but that's how easy it is. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that's what I did. I went from step 5, 6. There is no step 7, and then there's a step 8. So essentially, whatever this number is, step 9 minus 1 is 8 steps to a Blazor application with .NET Core with Reveal. So one last time, I'll just click the Run button, and we can see how this application works. So again, this is that single visualization mode here. If I go to my dashboards, these are my dashboard thumbnails using the thumbnail view. This is my dashboard view with my selector where I can, select a dashboard and load it up into my Reveal view. Dashboards and reports, they're basically the same. It's just a different UI. The idea here is meant to inspire you. So if I go to dashboards and I click new, this is that custom image here. So if you're a Reveal customer and you've always wanted to change out that image, this is how you would do it. And that's it. So with that, let's jump back to the slides and wrap this up. So finally, if you want to try Reveal, go to revealbi.io today or email sales@revealbi. Hopefully what you saw was how simple it was to get started with Reveal, how you can deliver a beautiful application in just a few steps to embed BI for your customers. It is super easy. And again, my name is Jason Beres. I want to thank you for attending today. I know you have a lot of options for your time. My email is jasonb@infragistics.com, and please send me an email if you would like a link to the app that I demonstrated today, or if you need any other help getting started on your Reveal journey. So thank you very much, and we will see you at the next webinar.